Hey, this is Evan Anderson with Oseberg, and thanks for joining me for Oseberg Hacks. This is full text search, and it's a search engine that sits on top of all of our regulatory and courthouse records. Regulatory is a very broad statement. Think of that as anything after an oil and gas lease has been taken that you would file with any regulatory agency in order to drill a well. For courthouse records, that obviously includes documents like oil and gas leases, mineral deeds, assignments. It also includes probates, operating agreements, acreage dedication agreements, a large volume of different types of documents. And think of this as kind of a Google search engine that sits on top of all those records to enable you to kind of cut through them very quickly. So today I'm going to show you a hack on how to find overriding royalty interest in New Mexico. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at communitization agreements. So under instrument type, I'm just going to type in communitization. I've got the state of New Mexico selected. I've got all counties. I'm not creating any kind of date ranges or anything like that. And I'm going to just type in overriding royalty interest, or ORRI, in the search engine. And let's take a look at what comes back. So here we've got a 64-page document. And you can see the working interest owners for the communitization area. These are also good docs for hunting non-operated working interest. But I'm expecting to see a breakout of the overriding royalty interest. And here we've got MRC Delaware Resources at 12.5%. And then here we've got our working interest owners. Like I said, this can be a good source of information for non-operated working interest because that's broken out by tract. Here you can see there are no overriding royalty interest owners under this lease. And I like that this gives you kind of a jump start on getting a sense for who owns what, under what wells, where. It's certainly not a replacement for title research, but we're talking about maximizing time and efficiencies. So as you can see, you got a lot of tracks broken out here under a lot of different communitization agreement, or under this communitization agreement. If we go back to our search, let's just look at a couple others. Here you can even see who is forced pooled under, as it relates to the working interest estate. So they're going to be subject to the non-consent penalties in the pooling. And there are other things that you can do. Like, for example, let's say we like, here's a working interest owner, Three Forks Resources LLC. We're going to write that name down, Three Forks Resources LLC. And let's see if there's anybody else that jumps out. Okay. And let's look at one more. Okay, let's look at Tom Ragsdale. Looks like a good name. And Gerald W. Green. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to come into the search engine now. I'm going to take off the instrument types. I'm going to just type in Three Forks Resources. Again, the only limitation is New Mexico. And you can see that there's 149 results. And these are OCD filings and well files where they're listed here with an address at Youngfield Street, Wheat Ridge, Colorado. We got assignments here. We've got 15 pages of results, or 149 total. We got special warranty deed, assignment, partial release of liens. Again, what we're just trying to do is quickly cut through courthouse records and regulatory documents to get a better sense of what the footprint is for some of these entities. Let's do Tom Ragsdale was another name that we looked at. Oh, I misspelled Ragsdale. There we go. There's Tom M. Ragsdale, 324 results. Again, anything from a stipulation disclaimer to, we've got agreements here. That's part of the operating agreement. We got 33 pages of courthouse records and hearing orders and regulatory filings to give you a better sense for Tom M. Ragsdale. Some of the other things I like to do are some complex queries where we can do Tom M. Ragsdale and term royalty. I have no idea if this is going to come back and give me anything. Nope. What about ORI? So everything here is going to talk about Tom Ragsdale, and it's going to have ORI in it as well. We can do, let's see, cost-free royalty. And that didn't show up. But if I just type in cost-free royalty, then you can see cost-free overriding royalty, cost-free overriding royalty, cost-free overriding royalty. It didn't turn back with Tom Ragsdale, but it may have with, I think the other name we're looking at is Gerald W. Green. And we got 20 results here. We can type in plus cost-free royalty if we wanted to, or anything else, term assignment, any kind of legal language you might want in an oil and gas lease, you name it. So thank you for joining me for Oseberg Hacks, and that's a quick way to find overriding royalty interest. I'll also show you in Atla how we get that data mapped and how we get it exported into Excel and other formats for you to actually call on, email from, etc.